Happy Sunday, everybody! Today is recipe 13 on cooking my way through Magnolia Table Cookbook, and today on the menu is chocolate dipped shortbread cookies. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get a very large bowl, and you're going to start adding your dry ingredients. So the first thing you're going to do is 3 cups of all-purpose flour. Now I'm doing a lot of half cups because my 1 cup measure is currently in the dishwasher washing, so we're improvising. So 3 cups all-purpose flour, and then to this you're going to go ahead and add your sugar. And I believe the recipe calls for 1 cup of sugar, so again I'm using 2 half-cup measures because actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get 2 sets of measuring cups and 2 sets of like the measuring teaspoons and tablespoons because I'm always washing those and it's annoying. So yeah, 1 cup of sugar. And then to this you're going to add your salt. The recipe calls for a 4th teaspoon of the salt. I winged this a little bit because again, my other stuff is currently washing in the dishwasher. So we did a little splat, a little pop, a little salt bay. And so you're gonna whisk that all together, and then to that you're gonna go ahead and add your butter. This calls for 3 sticks of salted butter at room temperature, so I just cut them up into manageable pieces. And then I decided, I was like, oh, I need something tough because I don't have that mixing stand. I'm gonna use this wooden like stick mixer. Do not, because I was brutally attacked and I had to stop because the stick literally stabbed me in my thumb. And I got a splinter. I don't know if you can see it, but I had to pull that out. So then I washed my hands and started doing the dough by hand, which was much easier. To this, you're gonna add 4 teaspoons pure vanilla extract. Again, I'm using the Mary Poppins method because my stuff is in the dishwasher. So yeah, I've never made shortbread cookies, and I feel like this book needed to be a lot more clear on how to get, because this dough is not a dough that like forms easily. Like you really need to put work into it, and it almost reminds me of like kinetic sand. Like it falls apart the second you touch it. So I tried for, I'm not even kidding you guys, probably 30 minutes trying to figure out how to get this dough into like tubular form, and then I was like, we're just gonna have to go the sushi way. So these are no longer chocolate dipped shortbread cookies, they're sushi cookies, and that's it. It was very difficult. I went ahead and took like some parchment paper, lined my countertop with that. This was after I'd already figured it out. Then I put saran wrap down, and just like you see at the sushi places, just kind of get it in like a tube and then wrap that bad boy up and just tightly roll it and squeeze, roll and squeeze, roll and squeeze. There you go. Tight, tight, tight. And then just like kind of get it in a cylinder motion. God, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Yeah, tie off the ends and then set it to the side because you're going to do this again. You want to break it into 2 batches in each one of those rolls and set, Jesus, making about 12 cookies. So yeah, I'm showing you guys exactly what this little tube of hell dough looks like. I got a splinter for this. It got everywhere, but there wasn't a lot of dishes, so that's a win. And then here I'm showing you the second roll, how I like just basically dumped the dough on there and just took the parchment paper and like forced it into to a tube shape. And then the same thing after I did this with the parchment paper, I went ahead and did the same thing with the saran wrap. And then I let it sit for like 5 minutes before I started cutting them into their little shapes. I feel like the recipe did not look as labor intensive as it ended up being. It was like very deceiving, and I don't even think I've eaten a shortbread cookie before, but these better taste like, oh, look at that, just whirling that dough around. Better taste like heaven. Jesus. All right, pop it to the side, and then bringing them both in. That's what they ended up looking like. Now you're gonna take 2 cookie sheets, line it with parchment paper, and then you're gonna start cutting up your dough. Again, this took me a couple tries because it just kept falling apart. So like the trick is to get a very cold knife. I ended up putting a knife in the fridge and just like slicing through it wicked quick, like no hesitation. You just gotta go, like wah, 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 like a machete. Like have you seen those videos of the guys like doing the machete on the coconuts? That's the kind of purpose you need to have when cutting this dough. Otherwise it's just gonna fall apart into like a million tiny pieces. You're just gonna have to redo the whole thing, and it was so annoying. But I digress. So this is me popping them on. It ended up making 2 cookie sheets with 12 cookies each. And then once you're done doing, and of course they're not round, which was irritating me the entire time. Now you're just gonna go ahead and put them in the fridge for 30 minutes to chill. You'll wanna set your oven to 325, and then these cookies are gonna end up cooking for 18 to 20 minutes. While they're cooking, you're gonna wanna get your chocolate dipping sauce together. So this calls for 12 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate chips. That ends up being 1.5 cups. And then it also calls for 2 teaspoons of like shortening or Crisco. I had that, so I used it, but I'm sure you could also use coconut oil or whatever you want. And then you're gonna go ahead and start microwaving this at like 15-second intervals. I went ahead and put some pictures in here. And then after it's done, you're gonna dip all your cookies in and let them cool for about 20 minutes after they're dipped, and you're good to go. Thank you so much for watching, and I will post the recipe in the video link.